So, if you're gearing up for the IBA entrance exam, you already know the deal, right? Vocabulary can be the thing that either makes or breaks your score. But here's a thought. What if you could actually master the words, not just, cram them into your brain? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. So our whole approach today is about making connections. See, instead of trying to learn words one by one, totally isolated, we're going to group them into families that share a similar meaning. This is a game changer because it forces you to compare them, contrast them, and really lock them into your long-term memory.
Okay, let's dive into our first word family. This one's all about growth and decline. Now, here's the secret for your exam. It's not enough to just know, oh, this means bigger, or this means smaller. The real points are in understanding the how, the specific nature of that change.
Okay, take a look at the table. You see abate, curtail, and dwindle. They all mean things are going down, right? But the nuance is everything. Dwindle is that slow, gradual decrease. Think about your energy dwindling on a really long hike. But then you flip it and you've got burgeon and proliferate. These are all about speed, about rapid growth. A startup might just burgeon in a hot new market, while, rumors or misinformation can proliferate like wildfire online. It's all about the speed and the context. That's what they'll test you on.
Let's look at abate in the wild. Check out this sentence. It's used to talk about abating the agony of farmers. Notice that? It's almost always used for something negative. The agony doesn't just vanish. It lessens, it subsides, it becomes less intense. It's a bit of a formal word, the kind you'd use for a big problem, a storm, or a feeling like pain. All right, moving on to our next group. This family is all about calming people down, or appeasing them. And at first glance, they all kind of look the same. But trust me, those tiny, subtle differences in how you calm someone down, that's exactly the kind of thing the IBA exam loves to test.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Assuage is when you're trying to ease an unpleasant feeling, like trying to assuage your guilt. Mollify is about softening someone's bad temper. But placate and appease, now these are different. They both involve giving something up, making a concession. The real key here, though, is that appease often has this negative vibe. It's like you're giving in to a bully's demands just to shut them up.
And for placate, I've got a killer mnemonic for you. How do you remember it? To placate someone who's angry, you offer them something, maybe on a plate. Get it? You offer a plate to placate. That simple image is going to stick with you, I promise.
Okay, next up, we're diving into words that get right to the heart of things. Attitude and emotion. These are all about human nature, really, from the best of us to the worst of us.
So here's a classic pair that trips people up all the time. Emulate versus imitate. Let's make this super clear. A monkey imitates a human. It's just simple copying, right? But when you look up to a mentor and you work hard to match or even surpass their achievements, you're emulating them. See the difference? Imitation is just mimicry. Emulation is copying with a goal, with ambition.
Okay, this next one, despondent, is a really heavy, powerful word. This isn't just being sad. This is being in a state of absolute hopelessness where you've lost all courage. And listen up, now on the complete flip side of despondent, we have magnanimous. This is all about being big-hearted, generous, and forgiving, especially to someone you've just beaten, like a rival. And the mnemonic for this is just perfect. Think maha, which means great in many languages, plus enemy. So you're so great of heart that you can forgive your enemy? That's what it means to be a magnanimous. All right, pay close attention to this next section, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. We're talking about words of agreement and surrender. They sound alike, they feel alike, but their meanings are critically different. Let's untangle this mess. Okay, first up, the two tricky cousins. Complacent and complacent. Someone who is complacent is smug, self-satisfied. They're happy with their place in life and they get lazy because of it. Think of a champion team that stops trying. But someone who is complacent, they sound similar, but they just want to comply. They're eager to please, maybe even a little too eager. And just to make things more fun, let's throw in a third word, acquiescent. Now, remember how a complacent person actively tries to please you? Well, an acquiescent person is different. They just passively accept things to avoid a fight. They might totally disagree inside, but they'll go along with it quietly. So look at the motivations here. Complacent is self-satisfaction, complacent is wanting to please, and acquiescent is just avoiding conflict. So what happens when you can't agree and you can't just acquiesce? Well, one side might have to capitulate. It's a formal way of saying they surrender, they give up. And the mnemonic is just golden. If the enemy captures your capital city, you pretty much have to capitulate. It's that final act of surrender. Okay, we're on to our final section. This one deals with a cool contrast. Words about knowledge versus words about obscurity and confusion. We'll talk about things that are known, things that are hidden, and yeah, you guessed it, we've got another classic confusing pair to tackle.
So, first up, flounder. To flounder is to struggle, but in a really clumsy, helpless way. Picture a fish flapping around on the deck of a boat, or maybe a student totally lost in the middle of an exam, just floundering. It's that messy, panicky struggle. But whatever you do not confuse it with its evil twin.
And that brings us to the word founder. And here's a funny thing to help you remember it. You know, a startup founder is someone who starts a company. But it's kind of hilarious that the word founder also means to fail completely, to sink. It's a bit of dark humor, but that connection is going to help us nail down the difference. So let's put them side by side. It's actually a sequence. Flounder is the struggling part. Founder is the total collapse, the sinking. So here's the rule to remember. You flounder before you founder. One is the process of failing, the other is the final catastrophic failure.
And this sentence just drives it home perfectly. The ship floundered in the storm for hours before it finally foundered. See that? It floundered, it struggled and thrashed about for hours. And then it foundered, it sank. The sequence is crystal clear. Struggle, then total collapse.
Okay, our last pair, omnipresent versus ubiquitous. This one's all about scale. Omnipresent is like a divine quality. It means literally being everywhere at the exact same time. It's an absolute. Ubiquitous is more down to earth. It's when something is so common and widespread that it just feels like it's everywhere. Think about smartphones. They aren't literally omnipresent, but they are absolutely ubiquitous.
So let's wrap this all up. What's your new vocabulary toolkit? First, group words into families. Don't learn them alone. Second, focus on the nuances. That's where you're going to win or lose points on the exam. Third, use those mnemonics we talked about to lock them in your brain. And finally, don't run from confusing pairs. Tackle them head on. If you do this, you can master any word list they throw at you.
So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you have these tools, which of these words is going to describe your journey to success? Are your efforts going to burgeon? Will you be magnanimous when you succeed? You've got the tools. Now it's up to you to define your path.